the Strategic Hotbox with Dr. Brandi Stankovic, discussing leadership, business, and how to take control of your life and achieve greatness. From the streets of Las Vegas, energized, informed, and never diluted. It's time to kick some ass.
Hey, welcome to the Strategic Hotbox. It's your girl, Dr. Brandi Stankovic. I'm so excited for you to be back with us. Thank you for joining us here again on the Strategic Hotbox. We have a pretty cool episode in store for you. We're going to talk about networking. We're going to talk about being someone's girl, being someone's guy. We're going to talk about not sleeping on planes, which, we'll get to the bottom of this. And we'll spend some time with our good friend, my new friend, Zachary Hall. So let's get started. As I mentioned, today we're going to talk about networking, one of my favorite topics, one of the things that I believe to be the most powerful thing you can do in business. And what I mean by that is, and we have spoken about influence and networking in podcasts past, but the idea that you're building relationships is very, very powerful for you and a tool and skill set that you can use in the future. This is something that you can start implementing today. And one of the best things about some of the lessons that we'll talk about and the things that Zachary will share with us is that these are things that you can implement in everyday situations. So this isn't something that only applies to the boardroom. This isn't something that only applies to people with super sophisticated titles and executives. This is things that you and I every single day can start doing differently so we can start building our own careers and going after goals and things that we want to achieve, even if those goals seem to be a bit more personal and not necessarily down the professional track. And as you know, our podcast is always broken into the learn, the love, and the kick-ass. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about networking from my perspective. Then we'll get into the love section. We'll get to know our good friend Zachary. And then we'll leave you, of course, with some kick-ass things that you can start doing differently today. So as we talk about networking, I have mentioned when we talked to Frank Diekman about influence, and we said it's not who knows you, or not who you know, of course, but who knows you, and being everywhere and being influential, and it's in business and it's in leadership, but some statistics for you that only 1 in 4 people actually do any networking. That means 25% of people are actually out there actively networking. And really, about 40% of people think that they don't have time to be doing that. And when it's funny that people frame it as, I don't have time. Because in reality, most of the time, there's a fear associated when it comes to networking. Maybe it's not wanting to be in that awkward cocktail party where you walk around by yourself or you stick with the person you came with, even though you already know who they are, and then you duck out early or something to that effect. Or when you're at a party, you don't want to meet new, different individuals. It's really hard, and it can be quite intimidating to walk into situations when you don't know people, or it can seem like you're stepping outside of a comfort zone to talk to people that are complete strangers when you're in more of a captive situation. And 28% of people have found or been referred to positions through a networking connection. Now, I think that number is super low. And we even found another stat that said 80% of people, and this is through HubSpot, filled jobs through networking. Every single job I've ever had has been through relationships. Every single board seat that I've ever been in is through relationships. Pretty much every kind of career step or movement that I've made in my life, even when it comes to social kind of steps or accomplishments, even when it comes to philanthropic charitable things, volunteer roles, everything like that. It all comes from relationships or networking and different things that I've done in my life. And really, it's those relationships, the friends that you create on whatever levels those friends are at, really make a difference in what you want to do. And consulting, as you know, I do strategic consulting. Consulting, the first thing that any new business is asked you, and I may have mentioned this to you before, the first thing that any new business will ask is, what have you done lately? So they want to know where you are, where you go, where you've been. And sometimes I'll even have friends in the industry that'll come up to me and like, man, you're everywhere. And I'm like, yes, perfect. Then it means I'm achieving that goal of mine. And that's to get around. I get around in all aspects of that. And the main, I'm getting claps from those. And it's gonna be followed by blushing for those that are watching on video. But really, it's important to get around. And the perception of being everywhere means that I'm connected. And I want to make sure that I have that influence, and I work hard to be able to do that. And networking, you never know if the next person you talk to could provide that C-suite position or get you backstage to that concert or front row, to that cool new event that you wanted to be a part of. It's almost like a gold mine of possibilities. And one particular place where I could potentially be networking a little bit more is on airplanes. I spend, maybe 3 to 4 days a week on the road, as many of you know. And so I'm on 4 to 6 airplanes every single week. I'm a Southwest Airlines gangster, by the way. So front of the line, TSA, blah, blah. Anyway, but nonetheless, I spent a lot of time on airplanes, and I can easily say that I have spoken to no one in the last year on those airplanes. So there's a lot of missed opportunities, and we're going to learn exactly about that from an expert here. And so I want to talk now and formally introduce you to Zachary Hall. He is the author of Don't Sleep on Planes. You have a Bachelor's of Business Administration from Arizona State. You have your MBA from the University of Phoenix. And you currently work as a mascot coordinator for the Arizona Diamondbacks. How cool to be so close to some amazing sports. But you've also worked for the Phoenix Suns, the Arizona Coyotes, and game entertainment. It's kind of your thing. And I want to give a shout out here to your book, Don't Sleep on Planes. Fabulous book. And I love all the stories and funny anecdotes that you have in it, and we'll get to know that a little bit more. So hello, Zachary. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. It's always a good reason to find a way to come to Las Vegas for a day.
So for those that have read your book or that will now after listening to this podcast, I have to know, did you get on the airplane and go, so Vegas, huh?
Actually, I sat next to 2 of my buddies who are doing some SEO and some digitals for me, and we're gonna have
sat next to friends on an airplane.
This one was awesome though. The flight attendants were like, "Why do you guys have cameras rolling? And what's Don't Sleep on Planes?" And we grabbed coffee this morning, and as we walked through the airport, like everyone was looking at me, like I was like, "Okay, what's this guy doing?" And I was like,
"He's important.
We're getting around."
Yes, nice.
It was good.
So tell us a little bit about your leadership journey.
Awesome. Well, growing up, I grew up in the inner city in Phoenix, low income, kind of a little bit of a challenge there. So family was divorced, and I learned the value of mentorship early on. I lived in an area where there wasn't a lot of people getting out to get around. And so my leadership journey starts with a man taking me under his wing at a small business. He taught me the value of a smile, the value of a collared shirt, and a good watch. And he said, if you come to work every day looking for success, you'll find it. In the book, I talk about how in life he taught me, I was 10 years old, he said you can be a spark plug or a butt plug. One of them stinks, the other one drives the world. And naturally, I've got a ton of energy. And so through my leadership journey, I've sat on boards, I've got involved in my community, and through sports, I've utilized the brand on my chest and the games that we play during a season and turned that into community impact during the off season. And
so we have to stop and talk a little bit about a couple of things you said. First off, being a spark plug and butt plug. Okay? So if anybody missed that, you can either be, I can't not, right?
Yeah,
I can't not.
I was 10. I don't know if that was right.
First of all, I love that anyone's telling a 10-year-old that. So that's brilliant in itself. But secondly, I thought a lot about that on the way in here, because I have it in my notes to bring it up if you weren't going to bring it up. That to be good and is a butt plug. Yeah, okay.
Now I'm blushing.
And we can just leave it at that. But spark plug really is an explosive thing that does drive the vehicle, causes that combustion that drives a car, right? So I love the fact that people should be a spark plug. So that's amazing. It
Absolutely.
creates torque. And then the butt plug piece, you can go so
Don't
many
be a
different.
Stinker.
Yeah, stinker is a perfectly PC way to put that.
But you've been around and you've found people that
it.
are stinkers, and they choose not to wake up every day and make it a great day or put their best foot
or
forward.
Stop the process.
Absolutely. And that's why, another chapter is called Don't Be a Jerk. Mm-hmm. And through that, I just had so much fun writing the book, telling stories. To get where I am today, somebody helped me yesterday.
Absolutely.
To get where, what you just said, is where I'm going tomorrow, somebody's probably going to help.
Be a part of that.
Absolutely.
So the other thing that you mentioned just now is wearing a collared shirt and a watch. So tell me, and a smile. So tell me a little bit more why those things.
So what inspired the book is I was actually flying to Vegas for a conference, mm-hmm. and on Southwest. I love Southwest.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, definitely. We got to figure out how we can get involved with it. I missed A-list status last year by 6,000 points. Would have been my first time ever. But besides that, so I sat next to a guy flying to Vegas, and I call Southwest first class, the first couple rows where the A-listers sit.
Sure.
And this guy was wearing a Rolex. So I said, you know what? I'm going to sit next to that guy, and I'm going to figure out, just ask him, how did you get that? Turns out he owns a ton of commercial real estate. Walmart is his tenant, so he's doing fine.
Yeah.
And we just had a great 45-minute conversation because of his nice watch. So to this day, I've got a watch.
Did you tell him I just creeped out on your watch and said?
He's on the back of the book. His name's Raleigh Sturm, and he talks about Territory Incorporated. And he says, I was sitting in yet another mindless sold-out Southwest flight to Vegas before I could recruit somebody to sit next to me. And here comes this guy asking about my watch.
I love it.
But it just turned out like this guy was dressed for success. And I was attracted to that success and wanted to learn more. And hopefully later today, I can meet up with him and grab happy hour before I make my way back to Phoenix.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's great. So do you ever fall asleep on airplanes?
Have you ever flown to Sydney, Australia, or flown back?
I have. It's a very long flight.
Yeah, that one I slept on the way back. But, there's a time and a place for everything. But I always joke that if you're going to sleep anywhere, you probably want to know who's next to you before you sleep. So if you sit down...
Yeah, typically that's a good rule of thumb. Like, if I'm going to stay the night, I should at least know their name.
Oh, we're going to get along great. But that's the thing is when I sit down on a plane, whether I'm in the window, the middle, hey, nice to meet you. Chicago, huh? Vegas, huh? And just, where are you headed? What are you doing? And then if the time and the place is... And maybe people are all in their own journeys, their own adventures. If they don't want to talk, and maybe I work on a journal or I blog or whatever, but sure, it's 30 minutes, an hour, 5 hours. This is uncharted time that... Every day of our lives, we're begging for more moments. And maybe you're a parent and you're working all day and you're parenting all night. And on this flight, it's the only time you can nap. Like, good for you. But I think that time on a plane is where you're given moments in life to do whatever you want. And before Wi-Fi, like, you had to sit there and watch a movie. Mm-hmm. But what if you committed to your dreams? What if you committed to something you've always wanted to do? Do it. And if it's more naps, like, good for you. I'm not going to, that's your time. But I've just enjoyed the journey.
That's amazing. And you've talked a little bit about it now, but how does networking impact the personal brand?
When I think of my brand and being a connector, you said earlier about, having a guy, having a girl. And in the book, I talk about, like, live your life like Vegas. Vegas is an amazing city.
It is.
And I've come here before for a concert, and I reached out to somebody at MGM, and they gave me better access. Not because I was a big spender, but just because I was a good friend. And I think in my journey, the more people I know, the more influence I have. People reach out to me and saying, hey, I'm actually looking for an artist or I talk about a watercolor lady in the book. She's Doris. She's a G. She's also status on Southwest. But nice. It's just cool. Like, the more people you know, the more impact you can make. And through the more impact you can make, like, the greater success you'll find. And I think the more people you know, you said something earlier that I loved, and it's not about how many people you know, it's how many people that know you. And when you reach out, will they answer? And when they answer, can you ask a favor? And will they give you that favor because they don't keep score? Where I don't care if you need 9 things from me. That's what my life is about, is to give. And I think the more you network and the more you put yourself out there, like you said, you're going to fail a lot of times. And I joke in the book how I've met certain people that blew me off, but I talk about bricks, and you're building a house every day, and a red brick is somebody good. And if you look at any brick house, there's black bricks too, and those black bricks are part of your foundation.
And when it comes to networking, what do you do? Do you just brush off people that don't? I mean, because I think to airplanes, and I think that there have been people that have tried to spark conversations with me, and I'm one of those that, like, oh, earphones in, sorry, kind of thing. So first of all, I will do that less.
Okay.
But secondly, what should when I'm trying to engage in somebody else and they kind of do that brush off, do you pursue it or do you just let it go?
Don't sleep on planes is an analogy for life.
Absolutely.
It's easy
but
to
in
joke.
those cases.
In those cases, exactly. So in life, there are going to be people that are going to brush you off. That's fine.
Right.
But you put it out there. And that guy, Raleigh, he kind of brushed me off too.
Yeah.
He was flying to Vegas, coming home, didn't want to talk to a young, ambitious kid.
Right.
And I asked him about something he was, like, prideful of.
Right.
He loved that. He did something in his life to earn a Rolex.
Absolutely.
People love talking about things. They love talking about themselves.
Sure.
They love talking about their own successes. And I think that when you can find those angles, I sat next to a guy
Open 'em
flying.
up.
Absolutely. I sat next to a guy flying back from Orlando last summer. And him and I were talking, and he said something called FORD, F-O-R-D. You talk to people about their family, their occupation, their recreation, and their dreams. And I was so grateful. I mean, again, sitting next to this guy, like, it was on an American flight. Like, I was forced to sit next to him. I had no role. And so through that, I met this guy, and he taught me something that I've always been talking about, but not in that acronym.
Sure.
And I love talking about my brother and my sister and what I do for a living in sports and my dream in writing this book. And it's awesome. People love talking about what they love. And that's that. And if they brush you off, it's all right.
One of the things that really stuck out to me in reading the book and talking about being someone's guy or someone's girl and the story of the person that you met in Vegas that you had come to, and you hooked them up in Arizona, and then they hooked you up or hooked your family member up coming back.
Pierce, Cleveland.
And I was thinking about being someone's girl. If I was someone's girl, what kind of girl would I be? And or someone's gal or whatever it is. Is it gal? I want to use it correctly.
Absolutely.
Gal or girl.
Be a woman. I mean, it's 2018. Politically correct is everywhere, but
be someone's chick.
Be somebody's plug.
Okay, so I don't know if I want to be someone's plug.
Oh, we go back to the plug. There we go. But
if I was someone, if I was going to be somebody's chick, what does that mean? And so my thought in that is what brand is associated with that,
Absolutely,
right? So what role am I playing in there? So not being there for them, but in what role does that mean? And there's opportunity for exploration in that area for someone as well.
But that's why I think you need to know what it is you do and what is your cog in the role of life, where sometimes I'm somebody's sports guy. I'm somebody's community connector. Sometimes I'm somebody's like concierge, where a ton of athletes, when they move to Phoenix, they want to know where to golf, where to eat, where to shop. Like, cool, I can help you with that. But it's also because I've built myself being a connector. So whatever it is you do, like you're a consultant. Maybe I need help as my LLC. Like the tax, I don't know about the tax code. Maybe you can help me. But in my circle, I know a lot of people that are masters at their craft. They might not think they're that guy, but in my life, like I can pull out my phone. I have a whole list of people that are just guy. And when I leave here, it might be Brandi, strategic hotbox gal. But then I'll search gals and somebody's like, do you know anybody that's a consultant? And I'm like, man, let me just look up gals. And that's just how I organize it. But I also kind of come back to the point of you can have a bunch of guys or gals, but unless you don't reach out to them when you need something, like I hate people that want to be the guy that only reaches out when they need something.
Right.
In the book, I talk about following up. And in life, I talk about just touch points. And I added you on LinkedIn a couple days ago, and like that's going to be another touch point. And I can't wait to see the other people that join this podcast. I can't wait to see the other businesses you're helping, because then I can just shoot you a note and say, awesome. Right. If I got your phone number and like I, was calling you when I needed something or sending you a text at Christmas and your birthday, no. Social media makes it greater than ever to just stay connected and have easier. And as my gal of the hot box of the Vegas network, like awesome. Like I can't wait to encourage all my friends that should join you too.
And have it be mutual.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. So can you share an unexpected learning from your journey?
Well, I'll talk about the book. If you're out there and you want to write a book, the greatest thing about writing this book is so many people have come to me and said, dude, I've always wanted to write a book. Can I buy you lunch? Yes, you can buy me lunch.
I love lunch.
And free coffees. But so many people should write a book. And if you want to write one, the first secret is write. Just start writing. And a part of this is I fell forward. No one teaches you how to release a book. I put it on Amazon, which is the world's largest vending machine. You can buy underwear, you can buy my book. You can buy 6-foot iPhone cables, you can buy my book. And you can go on Hot Deals and buy whatever. And I put my book for free on the first weekend because I read an article that said you should, because Amazon will push it. I didn't realize that I cannibalized myself. I gave away 1,500 books my first weekend.
Oh my gosh.
You can look at it two ways. I sold 600 hard copies. Awesome. But Amazon had it free because if I said, hey, you should go get my book and it's free, one, I got a lot of people that wanted a free book.
Right.
But I'm sending people to Amazon and then they're going to get my book for free, but then Amazon might get another customer. So maybe Amazon in this article was written to favor getting more people to have Prime. I don't know.
Right.
But I learned that this book isn't about making money. I'm grateful that I've broken even. I'm grateful that I've helped a ton of people. The first week that I had the book published, I got an Instagram DM and this woman reached out and she contracted AIDS. And in the book, I talk about embrace your mask. And she mentioned that when she contracted AIDS, she was working as a model and she lost her mask. And so she reached out and saying after she read the book, she found her mask again. And that's something that I never set out to achieve in writing this book. But to know that I could have sold 10,000 books and been New York Times #1, or I could have just got a book to a woman like that needed just a little... it's pretty cool.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that story. I love the concept of the mask and the ability to be who you want to be and also frame it how you want to frame it and take it off when, and be able to be as authentic as you can be as well.
The idea of the mask comes from working in sports, and I'm a big proponent of service. And I think that whatever it is you do, like you wear a mask, like, Sparky the Sun Devil or the Running Rebel, like that's a college kid in a costume.
I'm a Wolfpack, by the way.
Okay, Nevada Wolfpack. Good, awesome. I don't know much about him, but like I'll Google it. Like,
well, he's better than the rebel. I'll tell you that.
Well, great. I love it. I'm behind you. So like whatever it is you do, you wear a mask. And I think in the book, my $1 million idea, I sure hope in 2018 is telling people about their masks. Like my Uber driver, like when you clock in, like you're wearing a mask. Like you have to have your right mindset is the M, your right attitude, good senses, and embrace your knowledge. And like my barista this morning had a smile on their face, was so excited to get me some caffeine. Like, great. Like you rocked it at an airport coffee shop. Like you're going to meet a ton of people you're never going to see again. And the Yelp review could be terrible, but that person doesn't care. They're going to keep doing. So
I related it to a rock concert. Okay. It doesn't matter to me if Mick Jagger had a bad day. I want him to rock and sing and dance his ass off. You know what I mean? It might be my only time, my favorite time, the best time of my life.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't matter to me. He has to, it's almost like you have that to live up to.
But that's because you're buying a ticket and you're buying a ticket for an experience. Why am I buying a $6 coffee, not making a coffee at home? It's part of the experience. I'm meeting somebody for coffee, and the coffee thing's the easy one. But if you're at Home Depot, or if you're a teacher, or you're an administrator, or an executive, like your mask is locking it in every day and realizing like your commitment to what you have to do today. And I love the concert analogy because I like rocking my face off, and I look forward to seeing Justin Timberlake here next year, hopefully sometime, and rocking my face off.
Is that what you consider rocking your face off?
No.
Justin Timberlake.
Yeah, we
just hassling you.
But we got to see Billy Joel at the Garden last year. And to me, like I thought like, oh, it's Billy Joel at Madison Square Garden. He plays there all the time. And I'm a millennial. I know like 6 songs, and I love a few of those. But he plays there so often. Like,
you know 6 and love a couple.
Yeah, it's good. But like I know that when those come on, like I'm going to rock out to Billy Joel tonight. Right. And he plays there all the time. So he's like, I'm going to just pick a couple of my favorites. He only played one song I knew. No. But like, I got to see Billy Joel at the Garden, and to me that was like a bucket list, and I respect his talent, his time.
And you can relate to any man with a Rolex by saying, I saw Billy Joel at the Garden. Just saying.
You and I are the same. No, and it's even a woman with a nice purse, and I think whatever it is, it means a lot to you, like whether it's your wedding band or the way your hair is done, like these are things that make you feel confident in your success, and you dress for success, but through that moment and like being prepared, I should acknowledge that and say like grateful, like you're coming into the boardroom prepared, whatever it is you do.
Do you hear? We had a little Billy Joel playing over. It's come and gone.
Oh, it's great.
So share a quick funny story with us before we continue.
You know, in my life, it's full of funny stories, like whether I was at the airport and running late, or, oh man, I was at Rochester Airport in New York. Did you know there's 2 Rochester airports in America?
No.
So I believe in like kill them with kindness all the time. And sometimes it's your fault, somebody else's fault. Well, last summer I was flying back from I was in Toronto, and then I went to Rochester to play some golf, and I was going to fly back to Phoenix. Well, apparently when I booked my flight, I booked Rochester, Minnesota.
Oh.
And there's 2 ROCs. I had no idea. So I get to Rochester, New York, and they're like, yeah, you're not on this flight. I'm like, oh, yes, I am. And I had to like talk to the American Airlines woman. At first I was mad at American, but I took it out on the woman. That wasn't fair. And the minute I realized, like, it's not your fault. Like, can you just help me get on this flight? She gave me a discounted rate. She got me on the plane. She gave me, like, it went from shifting from being mad to all of a sudden saying, all right, this is how this is going to happen. So just know there's 2 Rochester airports in America.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
But there's just many great stories in traveling where, you know, these people that are checking your bags, like, great. Like, I've sent them with a smile, and I was going on my honeymoon 2 weeks ago. And the lady saw it was my honeymoon. She moved us from the C group on Southwest to the A group.
Wow.
Are you kidding me? Like, I love you, Southwest. Like, that's awesome. But people have empathy. Yeah. And I think that's what is funny to me is when people take the time to be empathetic. Like, we live in a pretty cool society.
Absolutely. Congratulations on being a newlywed.
Thank you. I still got to figure out how like this works every day. It's
the
good.
Wedding ring?
It feels weird on my middle finger and my pinky, but like she did a great job.
So share us a bold action item or something that you take away and start implementing today.
So since we already talked about masks, the thing I like to talk about is meals. I joked about I love a free lunch and people writing books. You should write down 10 people in your life that you want to learn from, you want to be like, you want to just have an idea with. Guess what? They're having 3 meals a day. Maybe they're having 2 meals. Maybe they're having 1 or 2 coffees every day. You can start off your successful path by thinking of meals. There's a great book called Never Eat Alone, and I love because it just talks about like whenever I eat alone, I figure like, okay, what can I do in this hour of my time focusing on myself? But then like I can't wait to go back to Phoenix tomorrow, and I'm having lunch with a physical therapist. But he wants to learn about writing a book. I'm going to spend an hour growing with another man that wants to write a book. And then tomorrow afternoon, I'm going to go to happy hour with a bunch of guys from a Bible study, and we're going to talk about how we can jump into the Word and support each other in this new baseball season. Like, awesome. And that's where meals are so important is every single day you can connect with new people over something you're already going to do.
So make your list and invite them to a meal.
Absolutely. And It might take months, it might take weeks, and people are busy, but you're going to find out that like everyone's open to a cup of coffee.
Absolutely. And if people wanted to get a hold of you, how do they do that?
It's awesome. Social media is an amazing thing. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Twitter. I love Instagram. At Zachary Hall is the best way. It's great. I've shared about that DM. Like, I love the fact that people have reached out, and I'm very easily accessible. On the back of my book, I put my email address and my social media, and I was like, okay, if I sell 1 million copies and get 1 million emails,
that's a good problem to have.
Absolutely. And sold 15,000 copies and gotten maybe 500 emails or DMs. Like, I'm hearing from some incredible people that I never dreamed of through this. So Instagram, Twitter, great. I'm on it every day. I live on my phone like the rest of the society. So I just love the fact that you can connect with anyone at any point in any day.
Well, thank you so much for being
here. Thank you so much.
We really appreciate it.
In sports, we talk about high fives, and so right. I appreciate it. Yeah, this is great.
Let's head out to our shout out.
Hola, mi nombre es Adrián, soy de la Ciudad de México. And guys, remember that tacos are not dishes, tacos is a way of life. You are listening to Brandi on Strategic Hotbox. Peace.
So thank you to Elian in Mexico City. He's my taco guy. I met him earlier this year in Mexico. We were down there for Metallica, and he showed us all the delicious places in Mexico. So thank you to him, and shout out to you back. I appreciate you sending us some love. Now, I want to talk about and give you some tools. My favorite time, your favorite time. It's time to kick some ass. Number one is to recognize opportunities and really just start by opening your eyes. Are there moments where you could be taking better advantage of what's in front of you? So if you're in situations, whether it's an airplane, whether it's the regular meetings that you're on the job, no matter where you are, how can you open your eyes and be available, be aware, recognize your surroundings, and just be more open to the opportunity? Because sometimes just opening yourself up, you can see something that's been right in front of you all along. Number two is to talk to strangers. Remove headphones if you're like me, and just once in a while, even if I just start with one airplane a month, then that is a big movement towards something that I really have this opportunity to talk to somebody that is a captive audience or to spark up a conversation. So often I'll be running next to somebody in a transfer or in a layover, and then we'll get there and we'll have this moment of connection where we look at each other like, yeah, we made it, right? And that would be a perfect opportunity to just say, hi, I'm Brandi, and move forward with that conversation. And why not? So I think that talk to strangers, remove your headphones. Number three, create value. So if you have these moments of networking, create the value that's beyond when you need it, right? So I love the idea of it being mutual, having an exchange. Networking is also about what you can provide and give and be to other people. If you are someone's gal, what gal are you? If you are someone's guy, what kind of guy are you? Are you the person that is always clinging, or are you the person that also is trying to bring people along with you on your journey? And that's really important as well. Number four is follow up. I am a huge proponent of thank you notes. I am a huge proponent of, after you have a conversation, follow up with an email. One, so neither of us forget what it is that we wanted to talk about or the action that we wanted to follow, but also that you just stay top of mind. Having a conversation, sending a Christmas card, sending thank you notes, sending text once in a while, all are beautiful ways to remind people that they're on your mind, that you're in their hearts, all of these different things. Follow up with people, because so often it doesn't happen. You get a business card and why even go through that process? Take the next step, follow up. And number five, be someone's guy or gal. Have that conversation, make those relationships as Zachary recommended to us, and build the value that you have for the people around you. That's your top five. Kick ass. Thank you again to Zachary for being here and sharing his success and his journey with us. We'd love to hear from you as well. Reach out to Zachary, reach out to us. Let us know the kinds of things that you'd like to hear on the Strategic Hotbox. You can hit us up on Facebook or on Twitter or on Instagram. On Instagram at Strategic Hotbox and Twitter at Brandi Love, BrandiLuv. Or of course, head out to our website, strategichotbox.com. We've got tools, we've got worksheets, we have action items, we have Zach's info. We have everything you could possibly need. It's going to be there for you. And don't forget to pick up a copy of Zachary's book, Don't Sleep on Planes. Until I see you again, get out there and kick some ass.